Well, I did a list. I did a top 10 list. I even uploaded it, but I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it because I want to do a list for me and a list for you. My list today, I'm curious. This time of year, we always make a predictions list. Remember last year? I think we might have did it in March. Maybe James and I and Jimmy. The problem I have with this year is no one's seen all the horses. The only two people who have seen all the horses are you and I. No one from Ontario has gone to the U.S. yet. You know, I imagine James will come over some weekend. I'll talk him into it. Jimmy's talked about coming over with Jared a number of times. But Danny was over. Danny went with them too, once. But for the most part, we have two different plants right now. So that predictions list is going to be hard. It's kind of useless. It's fun to have. I like to go back, and I was talking to Steve the other day, and the January list he gave me was very obscure, but it was that week. So I want you to do this week, because you saw all the horses this week.
Oh, this is because I have a horse on here that didn't train.
That's okay. That's okay, because it's your 10 best. I'm not going to tell you the parameters of what to put on there. You put the 10 horses you think are the best right now. Right now. Okay,
so that's different than what list you just made.
The list I was working on is predictions. Horses that I think come next July and August, people are going to be like, wow, that's a nice horse. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You know, I talked to a number of our partners, the stakeholders in the stable, a lot of the people that own bigger shares of horses about this year in particular. And, you know, every year comes stake, you know how I get, come stake payment time, I get really stressed because money's tight. Money is tight because we ended up putting a bunch of money into yearlings this year. This is going to be, it's not going to be what somebody would categorize a make or break year, but it most definitely could be a make year. The horses we have in this, I thought I was being picky as hell in my predictions list, and my initial list had 19 horses on it. That means 9 have to come off. And that's amazing, because when we have 60 horses, the amount of horsepower we have in this barn, yes, if somebody like Marcus Melander or Ron Burke watches this video, they'll be like, oh, this idiot talking. Oh, you have nice horses. Good for you, Anthony.
Yeah,
but
in January.
Yeah, but by far the best horses we've ever had, the deepest pedigrees. It is something to behold for somebody that came from us, from our stable, that has come from obscurity and virtually the ether to become this tangible, massive stable. It's incredible. It is an incredible feeling, and I will make that list. And the only problem with that list is going to be a lot of people say, I can't believe you didn't put so-and-so on it. I'm going to tell you what, the 10 that are going to be on this list are impressive horses now, but looking forward, horses that we have. Now, I'll give everybody a sneak peek. Punch a Clock is on the list, because the tenacity she showed to live, not just train good, not just overcome adversity, to survive, has been incredible. And looking at her pedigree, her attitude, her gait, yes, I'm going to put her on the list. So, this list is about Amy. This is Amy's list. There's only a handful of people, 3 or 4, that have seen all of them in one given week. There's only 2 that see them all the time, and that's you and I. So, I'm not going to do a list this week. I'm deleting my top 10 list from this week. You are the only one that are going to have a top 10 list. I'm going to have my top 10 predictions, as we generally do, and the only one that can make those are me, you, potentially Danny at some point down the road. But this is your list today. So, who comes in at number 10? Who's number 10?
I put Oh Snap You.
Creatine filly.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Eric will agree with you, because I'll tell everybody, Amy, little pissy that I took her off Oh Snap You on Saturday. I didn't take you off. Eric, that works for us. I love, you know, we're so lucky sometimes when we have some of these older horsemen, like Danny O'Brien. The roles these guys play behind the scenes that you don't see is amazing. And to have Jason Merriman, and as I said, Jason McGinnis, Daryl Rido, even Daryl, the experience he has. And then Eric, I've never met Eric before. I just walked in the barn one day and he's riding our horses. I said, hey, how you doing? I shook his hand. He introduced himself. Really good horseman, really quiet guy, and really, you can tell he's been around the block, and he loves Oh Snap You. So, you were going with, who'd you have in that set?
I had Affection.
Oh, you had Affection there, because she's a really nice filly, too. So, I put you on Affection, and he loves Oh Snap You. Gushes about her every time he trains her.
Okay. Well, I like her, too.
She's a very likable filly. Beautiful gait. She's not who was the other creatine filly we had? She was really nice too. Was Purple?
Purple Aura.
Purple Aura.
Yeah.
Really? She was the creatine?
Yeah.
Really nice filly, too. Did nothing but good for us. I think I hear people talking all the time. They're a little divided on the creatines in Ohio. We've had one, and she was a sweetheart. And Oh Snap You does nothing wrong. Get a little fiery sometimes, but not bad. Very smart filly. Nice gait to her. Trots really nice. She is a very likable horse, so I don't blame you for putting her on our list.
Okay, number 9, I put Pickpocket. And
Pickpocket.
I haven't gone with him since, like, he was just broke. But yesterday was the first day I saw him.
Oh, you weren't in that set?
No, I was
Cowboy
watching.
by the Sea. One, he was in with the Pacers yesterday. This horse has been very, very good for quite a while. This is, I told you, I'm always leery. So I'm always leery to buy horses off people that are acquiring horses. It's a weird feeling to buy horses from the Lindy Farms consignment, knowing that they are racing and looking for horses themselves. What I'm doing is saying they don't like them, but I really do. And they've seen him every day of his life. So it's hard for me to do that. We bought horses from Crawford. Really Don't Care. And was Pull the Shoes from Crawford? I know Really Don't Care was. No, Blanton's
Royal
Blue.
Emeralds.
No, Blanton's Blue. Was Royal Emeralds?
And Blanton's Blue.
Oh, really? So we did. We have. I mean, overall, when I look at the horse, just because they might say quietly in a room somewhere, I don't like
they
that
could be
guy.
clients, too.
But they
don't.
don't.
For Crawford.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
I don't know about the other one.
But even at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They don't really know. No. They might keep the ones they think are the best, but that doesn't mean you can't tell me they know. No one knows, or they would never sell the best ones. So Pickpocket, he's real cool, real somber. I don't think I remember him ever making a break. The horse always trots, does his work well, and Daryl, everybody that goes to him gets along good with him. And he's been gone. Everybody goes to that horse, and he's been awesome.
Number 8, Affection. Father Patrick filly.
Yeah, and I say it all the time. Probably one of the biggest cows we ever broke, ever. Yeah. What a miserable sow she was. Stop on the track and wouldn't go, and pin her ears, wouldn't kick, just park and just be like, all right, I'm gonna move whenever I feel like it, and you have a good day. Yeah. And she got better. Then we took the head check off her. Had to put it. She's on one of the only horses this year that had a third line. We broke her and then put a third line on her because she would stop and not go on the track. And she just turned the corner one day and went, this isn't that hard at all. And now it's turned into a horse. You can do what you want with her. Rides out on the left line, wears a Murphy blind outside, but always has her ears up going forward and always looking to excel. And
I don't know, but like that track was icy yesterday.
Yeah, very.
She had no head check on. She just wears a martingale, and I don't know. She just seems.
She's fast, like, and she's really mature, she likes
mature, but
yes, she went from being I don't care what you think, and I will do nothing regardless of what you do, to I'm gonna beat up on everybody. And she's done amazing work the last month. Now, little food for thought for everybody. You know, every year we say we acquire horses from everywhere, and everybody's like, oh, you know, we shouldn't shop here, we shouldn't shop there. And again, this year with the Goshen sale, had no luck with Melanie's Michaela. But Affection was purchased. We were bidding on her. We were the underbidders on Affection. Genre Cross and the Cross family, who owned Took a Dive Off Dipper, own 3/4 or more, maybe 80% of Affection. She was the winning bidder on Gate. Diamond Creek sold her privately on Gate. She purchased her, kept her turned out, brought her in with our horses, and we broke her and trained her down. The moral of the story is, she didn't go through a public auction. Well, technically she did. She went through On Gate. She was one of those On Gate horses. So, and it's a long way to the races, but a very, very nice filly so far from what you can see. Attitude, work ethic. I don't know what was wrong with her when we broke her and why she changed her mind so quickly, but she went from literally one of the most ignorant horses we had to immediately one of the sweetest horses. And I don't know, but just... she is so good right now, so I'm not shocked at all. She's number 8 or number 9?
Number 8.
Number 8.
Number 7, I put Winter Bells.
I like Winter Bells too.
I do go with her quite a bit, but
she's fast. She's a fast filly that she's made breaks, but she's never done it for her attitude. She's never been sour about it and just not wanted to go. She's a very nice filly. You know, I'm worried that the shadow play will come out sometime. She'll get really hot, but
Pacers are hard for me to put on this list for some reason. But the only thing, I just see the different sides of her, because when we're going the slow jogging trips, or even jogging her slowly, she doesn't look like anything special, but as soon as you get her in gear about 3.5 or 4, she's just flawless.
Because she's got that slick gait to her. When you get the corks off that filly,
but like, and she's literally been on a downward slant.
She's got a huge ass.
Like ever since we bought her, she's been on a slope, and she just can't. The front end has not caught up at all, and she still goes out there and works hard, and it doesn't seem to bother her.
It's all that matters. Every horse on anybody's list should be a hard worker with a good attitude, and if they're not, you're only lying to yourself. And that filly has been very, very good. There's the days she's made breaks and done so. She's always looked to recover. She's always looked to do her work better, and that's important. Not just that they do their work great now, but that you can extrapolate what they're doing and factor in their attitude and say, yeah, this horse won his pedigree. Her full sister won the Battle of the Bells.
Yeah.
So she does have pedigree. She is a nice built filly. She does have a slick gait.
She's gonna be huge.
She's gonna be a big girl, and she can flat out fly. So yeah, not on my lists, but absolutely. And this is so hard to make top 10 lists now. Not on my list, but absolutely don't blame you for putting her on at all.
I put Venice at number 6. Like, I know she didn't train yesterday or the last 2 times, but she's just really nice.
It's worth mentioning. She had what looked like a little curb coming left hind, and she gets on the left line. So when you see the horse on the left line, and then you can tell why. That's why she didn't train her last 2. We were waiting for that curb to pop out and get a little cool down a little bit, and the vet looked at it and said, it's not there yet. We blistered it a couple of times. It didn't come. So I think what we're going to do is push forward a little bit with her, see if we can mitigate that by blistering it and painting it, or if it pops out a little bit, cool it down again and have the vet crowd. He just thought the size of the curb where it's at, it should be a little bit bigger. He thought that if we crowd it now, we would just have to do it again down the road. So that's the only reason she didn't train. Listen, Venice Blue Chip could literally end up being one of our best horses.
She's nice.
And she is beautiful, and she can absolutely fly. And I'm working on my predictions list, and I think you're probably going to find her name on that list. She is a super talented filly and a very deep pedigree. So I'm not shocked at all. Not shocked even in the least that Venice Blue Chip.
Really good manners. Like she goes out.
She floats.
And you ask her to do more, and she'll just do it. She doesn't give you, she doesn't flick her tail. She doesn't pin her ears. She doesn't do anything wrong.
Because she's super fast, and she's just learning to use all her speed. She's just a really deeply talented filly.
Okay, after that was 6. Really Don't Care at number 5. I went with her a couple times, like, early. And then she was making, I think she made a couple breaks, so then you went with her or something. Anyway, I haven't gone with her since that. But I've seen her train, and I really liked her when I did go with her, and then I saw her train yesterday, and she's nice.
That filly, super talented filly. She's done nothing but good things from day one, and quite frankly, I think I might have gone with her once. We didn't make a whole lot of changes with her. I think it's worth noting that everybody watches what we're doing. Well, I had a Swedish gentleman message me a month ago and ask me if he could buy Gold Bug Hanover and Really Don't Care. And I told him no. And he said, well, if you change your mind, let me know. He said, I think, you did a great job buying them. I said, I know, that's why I don't want to sell them. I said, very nice horses. Really Don't Care is... so let me pull up my memory. My memory's not good for a lot of things, but it is when it comes to equipment and what the horses are and who they're related to. And when it comes to Really Don't Care, if I'm not mistaken, she was a $70,000 day one purchase in Kentucky. She is out first foal from an Explosive Matter mare who is a sister When Doves Cry. And she was put together really well. Now, this filly definitely fit on my 6-figure list, but I really wasn't looking to buy a $100,000 Chapter 7 regardless. And I thought that this pedigree, this particular horse, if you go back and watch our yearling videos we did a video of her.
Yeah.
And
she's a big Chapter 7.
Huge.
Yeah.
I thought that she would likely bring 180,000. I believe is what I had her marked at in my catalog. I could look right here. But when she was in the ring, it was one of those things where I'm comfortable with the work we put in. When we're done looking at our horses and I put that final price on that catalog, I don't remember Really Don't Care because we looked at 600 horses if we looked at one. And I don't remember, really don't care. I know she came from Crawford's. I know I thought she was a nice filly. And when she's in the ring, I don't have time to pull up the video we did of her. But I can look at the price that I put on that catalog. And when I know it says 180 or 190, and the bidding has stopped for the most part at 60,000, I'm about to put my hand up. And that's why it's so important to put the legwork in. I vividly remember it. She was in the ring. I did not remember the filly. I'm looking, Chapter 7, Out of a Sister to When Doves Cry, First Fall, Explosive Manor Mare, and then I look at the bottom, and there's my price. I'm sure it would said 185, 180, something like that on that filly. Right there. I trust the work that we put in. I trust the value I put on that filly, and I bought her. $70,000. And I remember going back and looking at the video, then we went down, and I believe we even did another video of her. And one of the least regrets I can remember from 2022 was putting my hand up to buy that filly. She trots nice. The fact that Jason loves her too. Like, Jason goes with the baby sometimes with us, but he can tell. You can tell when they're just a little bit different. Yeah. That doesn't mean at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, does that mean they're going to be different in June or July? No, but there's just something about her. You can tell there's class there. You can tell there's that speed that you don't see with all the horses there, and she has it all. She's a very, very nice filly,
and it's nice to see her training well on a half, because it's going to be a lot
of and that's very important also. You're right, the fact that most of the New York sires now, I believe, Really Don't Care might be a little better than the sire stake horse. She is staked a little bit deeper, but jurisdictionally speaking, you're 100% right. Most of her starts between Yonkers, Saratoga, Monticello, Batavia, Buffalo. The only tracks that are bigger are Tioga and Vernon.
Yeah.
That's it, I believe. I don't think I missed any. So it is important, you're right. So great filly, absolutely. I'm working on my list now, predictions list, and I'm sure she's going to be on it also.
4, I put Militant. And
I'm surprised you put him on there.
I've only seen him go. I haven't ever set.
We joke about it. We joke about it all the time. But
he's a 6-pack, which is nice.
I like the 6-packs. They look like muscle masses. I like the 6-packs. Now 3rd and 6. You know, somebody said, "Wow, 3rd and 6 will come." 3rd and 6 got to a point quickly where it was his attitude played a negative role in his training. We castrated him, but that takes time to walk back, right? And he trained him 43 with Jason yesterday, made a break starting in the backstretch, a little bit behind everybody else, which is fine, tons of time. But when it comes to this particular horse, we know him. We had the crazy sister. And people forget about Nancy Allison. Those of you that have been with us for a while, you remember Nancy Allison. The training trips, you're like, we know she's fast. She's just a complete lunatic.
And she had a good gait, too.
Yeah, she had a choppy gait, but when he got her going, we schooled her in 58. Yeah, she had lots of speed. She was just crazy. And we ended up selling her for okay money as a broodmare. Now, the best one out of that family is Charmed Life. Obviously made, I don't know, gazillion dollars. Yeah. And was one of the nicest mares in North America at one time, for the most part, raced in that top level. This is the brother by 6-pack, and I don't know why he only went for what he did, but even with that bad taste that Nancy Allison put in my mouth, you still couldn't say no at that
there's no
price.
way you can't put him on a list after
no,
watching him train.
And it was so great because Eric again went with him yesterday, and I could hear him. He leaned over the jog cart and said to Jason, "Who is this by?" He said, "That's a 6-pack." And he goes, "Oh." And he didn't ask anything about the family, but it was the first time Eric had gone with him, I think. And the horse just looked amazing yesterday. He is a very nice horse. Again, I don't know if he's on my list. This is a tough list to make. Week to week, it's tough.
Yeah.
But trying to project these horses, one, is extremely difficult to do, and it means nothing. It's fun for me to do, but means nothing.
Number 3, I put Halley in the Clouds.
I love it. I told you yesterday, the only thing that pisses me off, this really irks me, is that whether it was the Breeders' Crowns, whether it was the Hambletonian Society or the Ontario Sire Stakes, Ontario, someone screwed up. Virtually, it is impossible to race our Ontario bred to. If Halley in the Clouds has the year I hope she has, and goes out and crushes them in the OSS final, if we're lucky enough to have a horse that good, well, she just can't race in the Breeders' Crown. They put the Breeders' Crown eliminations 5 days after the OSS final. That is an absolute travesty. And I don't
know how someone didn't catch that.
I don't know who did it, but whoever did it shouldn't have a job. I don't care if it's a volunteer position or not. If you think everybody in Ontario buys these horses, you want to have a world-class horse, you literally just kneecapped everybody with a 2-year-old trotting filly. An absolute travesty, and I have no idea how you weren't looking at the OSS list and saying, okay, what about, they move the OSS around in the summer so everybody can race in the Grand Circuit. There's a big useless gap in the middle of the summer.
August,
Oh, Peaceful Way and this and that. Here's the crown jewel of horse racing. The crown jewel of horse racing. And you can't race your 2-year-old. You can't, because there's no one on earth that could race their horse in the 2-year-old final, and then 5 days later, in their 5-day span, load them up, ship them all the way into Indiana, and race against the best horse in the world.
Even if the Breeders' Crown is in Ontario, that would be a tough ask.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't. You're asking your 2-year-old filly to do that? It's an absolute travesty, and somebody really, really dropped the ball, and there is no excuse for that. This jurisdiction wants to be and always has been on the world stage, and you just made it impossible for Ontario to do it. So an absolute huge mistake made by whoever is in charge of the calendars. Whether Ontario put their schedule out and then the Hambletonian Society did it, or whether the Hambletonian Society put it out and Ontario did it. Whoever did it, an absolute travesty.
Anyways, back to Hallie. I actually wasn't a huge fan of her the first.
No, you hate her. You didn't want to. Amy didn't like her because she was lazy and wouldn't do her work. I trained her a couple of times.
She looked for ways out of her work, which isn't bad.
She didn't look for any ways out when I went with her.
Anyways, now that she is better, and I know I've made a couple of breaks. Well, I did last time, but she finds a way to come from left field, and she's just a powerhouse. You just move her over, and if you don't move her over, she'll just move herself over, which is...
She competes. She's a competitor, and a very, very good one.
But having said that, when she's on an off day or when she's having a bad day, she could look pretty mediocre if she wants to.
Well, most of them can do that. But yeah, she's a super nice filly, and again, one that's probably going to end up on my list, I would imagine. I'm going to try and put all the jurisdictions in. I can't put Sunset Acres Girl in because she's a very good filly, but she's the only one in Michigan. Yeah. So as far as Michigan goes, she's the best one we ever had. But she's a good filly.
I put Lonely Lakewood at number 2.
What?
I know.
Who's that? Is that mine or yours?
That was you.
Whatever.
This is a biased order what I've done here, but anyways, Lonely Lakewood.
Oh, I see. I see what's going on here.
He's very nice. He beats us everyone all the time, or flies on the outside, never makes mistakes. Yada yada yada. Lonely Lakewood, very nice horse.
He's a very nice horse. He's a Father Patrick that was castrated right away, obviously, because he was originally the underbidder on this horse was the Tactor family, who had his sister, Selfie Queen. A very, very strong family, and the thing I love about him is he's just a worker. Johnny goes to them all the time, and he never, ever looks for a way out. He always trots. There was a time, all we did was made a very minor change on him. We had to put toe weights on him to trot when he came to Ontario. And he was just learning, that's all. He had just been castrated. He was just learning how to trot. And he was touching his jacks, and he cut both of them the one day. And we were going to make some shoeing changes on him, and the first thing we did was take the weight off him. So we took the toe weights off him, and I thought that they had made the changes on him. And he went out and just smoked them the next week. And I said to Johnny, I said, geez, those changes must have done it. Geez, he looked good. And he goes, actually, they haven't shot him yet. It was just taking the toe weights off him. So just something minor like that. And the horse is just straight ahead. Johnny's put him on the front. He's sat in the middle. He's come from off the pace. He's been first over. The horse has beat everybody in every single way you can beat everybody. Yeah. He's done it. He might be on your list, but he's always number 1 right now. I told everybody yesterday, you want to beat the king? You want to be the king, you got to beat the king, and nobody's beating him right now.
Okay, well, Sedona Hill I have at number 1. I'm pretty sure she probably can't beat Lonely Lakewood or Hallie in the Clouds, but I just love her. She's just a little tiny, I don't know what you
What's your list? She's a very, very good horse. She's a Spitfire. She could, you know what she looks like? Is the one not nearly as crazy as that filly we used to have, One Too Many, a long time ago. She was out of her mind crazy. This filly is smart, and she'll follow, and when you move her, she's all business. And yesterday, her biggest feather in the cap is, now, we said the whole set was screwed up from that tractor. It wasn't. Blanton's Blue caused all that shying away from the tractor. It's a tractor. It's not his fault. But what was impressive was how Sedona Hill just blasted right by the tractor, and so did Sweeney, who was crazy, who was scared of water when he came in the barn. And those horses, you know, I interfered with Antilles Hanover. We interfered with Gypsy Hill. Irresistible Sun kind of gets snatched up, but the horses, that other ones that went through, were impressive. And if you watch Sedona Hill, there was never even a shiver in her stride when she went by that tractor, and that is because she's scared of nothing. Yeah. She is just a sweet filly. She got that beautiful low head and that nice gait. She just
and she literally wears nothing. She's like, they put polos on her just because it's like, at this point you're like, we have to put something on these legs because there's no way that you can just. She's just a really nothing.
Really sweet filly. Does nothing wrong. I don't know that I could put her at one, but she definitely belongs on everybody's list as far as Ohio goes. One of our best horses in Ohio, and just a really good horse. So a long list of Amy's. This is Amy's top 10. It's important. You don't need to hear from me this week, but I think it's going to be, I'm a little torn because making that predictions list now, there's a ton of horses going to be left off it where people are like, come on, how can you leave that horse off it? But when I look at these 10 horses, I'm looking at where they're going. So some of them, I want to have one or two for every jurisdiction if I can. I want to know, are they doing their work well? And is it a big ask to think that they're going to do it well in July? Or will it kind of be a little heartbreaking if they don't? Those are the horses that should be on the list. And, you know, we did this when we talked to him at 3 Point as a 2-year-old. Expensive horse. Man, I hope he does good, but I just don't know. So there's going to be a lot of extrapolation, a lot of guessing. But when it comes to this top 10 list that I'm about to do, it is the 10 horses that I think are the best 10 horses we have right now. When I look ahead to the summer, if you put a gun to my head right now and said, I need to know your 10 best horses right now, that's the 10 I'm going to give you.
You know who reminds me of him? International Spy.
He does. He looks a lot like him.
Stupid.
Dumb. Yeah. Yeah. You know who reminds me of him is who's the Walners in Ohio? Pickpocket. Who's the other one?
Drebin.
Don't we have one more?
Nope.
Are they only two? Oh. Drebin a little bit. He can get a little hot, but you know, 3 Point always had that little. And that's the other thing is we got.
Never got hot.
He was a little hot sometimes, but he would pull up sometimes, and that was the problem with him. So even the horses that do, and Kemp too, even the horses that do pull up a little bit and don't have the greatest attitude doesn't mean they can't be good horses. So, but I do look at the key indicators. You know, attitude, work ethic, speed, ability, talent, depth of their pedigree. These are the things that are going to drive my list. So. Your list is done. I'm going to delete mine from yesterday. I don't need it. I'm going to give them your list and my predictions list. I'm going to do that right now. Take care. You can say bye.